unwanted and unnecessary thoughts. So gradually what happens that this deep sleep, which is not disturbed by the subconscious thought process, uh, it leads to the purification of the mind. So, based on your experiences, let us return again and reflect on this, the very first principle of sadhana panchakam. So, we will understand how these principles were discovered, why the master says, uh, study and acquire the knowledge of the self and not self. Why we should acquire the knowledge of the world outside, and why we should also acquire the knowledge of the real self. So, no doubt, the knowledge is processed by the mind, but at last it is the intellect that makes a decision to hold on to that knowledge. To hold on to that knowledge. So, when we hold on to that knowledge, so that changes my attitude, my behavior, my action, and I find something higher consciousness taking over. So, in one way, contemplation and reflection helps us to deepen the process of meditation, and opposite is also true. When we practice meditation, the revelation of that knowledge settles in the intellect. So, so see that we started couple of days, couple of weeks before I am. What it means by I am. We don't say I am existing. It is clear. The moment when I say I am, then obviously it means I exist. So when I say I exist, the master say this I am is the existence. You don't exist. Wave exists because of the existence of a water. But the mind has all the wrong notions in our life, and that claims from the background that I am the body, I am the sense organ, and I am the intellect, and I am the ego. Hence, I exist. Wave says, I am. But there is no I am for the wave because it is all water. See that? So, but because of the wrong notions, one, because of the identification with the body, two, because the mind is running outside to fulfill the desire, the mind is not able to see this truth. I am. I'm explaining in a different way so that it goes into the head. So, existence is there behind the world of name and form. Now, just for understanding, the entire world that I see is the world of name and the form. That is nothing like the wave on the existence, including including so called, we say this is I am. Now go little deeper. I have to change this wrong notion that mind, the moment I say I am, the mind goes back. I am the sense organ, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the waker, I am the sleeper, I am the dreamer. And that is what you are referring to? No, we are not referring to that. Whatever is changing is not me, can never be me. But then the second thing comes what it means I know I am. When I want to go inside, the mind creates in subconscious patterns of claims, wrong notions. The mind says, don't worry about, don't need to reflect. I know, but question is, I know I am can be understood and experienced in the purified state of the mind. What is that purified state of the mind? Just take an example, two part. I am seeking, example, I am seeking pasta. So the mind is already colored by the pasta. So the mind has already started its journey outside. Why to seek that happiness? That mind does not allow the intellect to reflect and see what is it. So, what happens? So, Master says you need a dispassion, vairagya. Why? Because the mind has already decided the happiness is in the pasta. So, I need a vairagya. At the same time, that vairagya has to be done by dispassion, by viveka. Who works with the viveka? The intellect. So the intellect should be allowed to see the reality in the pasta, if there is a happiness or not. So now, through the contemplation and reflection, I realized that the pleasure is not there, but the mind is still running after. So we need a concept is created, what is known as Vairagya. So once I know the very origin, then the things becomes clear. Oh, otherwise if we practice Vairagya, that Vairagya becomes self-humiliation. Us standing on one feet, yeah, that may help you to keep the body steady for so long period, to demonstrate to the people, to build your ego sense. But that is not the true vairagya. The true vairagya comes through from the viveka, the viveka to separate. So I separate the very pleasure from the pasta, and then I separate, but still the mind is craving for it. There we need a vairagya. So now go back to when I say I know I am. First, let us pick up what is this I know. I know means knowledge. Knowledge, consciousness. Consciousness may be sensation, may be awareness. So all these words are used at different places, but fundamentally it is consciousness. So in the first, say that first we say I am. So this I am is existence that is unchanging, that is behind the change of the body, the mind, the intellect, and the ego. It is not what is changing, because the very changing aspect has no existence. It appears that it is true, but it is not true. Can I start looking at myself that what is changing is not me, but behind the change on which the chains exist is me. The moment I see, oh, this is me. So, this is what is known as Sat of Satchidanand or even Satchidanand. That is what is known as the God. That is what is known as uh, the all pervading consciousness. So, who knows it? I am. So, the part of the Sat is also Chit. That Chit is consciousness, knowledge, awareness. Can awareness be confined? Can consciousness be broken? No, it is always one with the existence. So, existence is also one, and the consciousness is also one. So, whether we say Sat Asato Ma Sat Gamaya, so that Sat is also Satchidanand. Whether we say Anandam Vai Brahma, Anandam, that Brahma, that Supreme Self is Ananda, that also means Satchidanand. So now, how these masters have created this phrase Satchidanand, what it means by the Ananda. So, Ananda literally means, the first syllable, first word Nanda. Nanda means joy, happiness, and means from all sides. So, wherever you go in time, space, causation, you find that there is a joy ever present. Ananda is always present. Now, see one aspect of it. If there are two, then Ananda can be divided. But that Ananda comes from I am. Consciousness cannot be divided. It comes from Sat and Chit. I am only one. And when we experience that oneness, then I am happy. That is the permanent happiness in Satchidananda. Satchidananda. So now comes, how we contemplate and reflect on it. You may be sitting every day. That is the real study of knowledge of the self. That is the way it should be studied. So, how we do it? Sense organs. I'm seeing you. Who sees sense organ? So, let us see. We, yeah, let us go a little deeper in a different way. We cannot believe that we do not exist now. Can you believe that you do not exist now? Belief is a property of the mind. Now, see that. Can you believe that you do not exist now? That consciousness says, how dare you say that you don't exist? That's how you are listening. That's how you feel. That's how you know. So you exist, no doubt. We agree. We cannot believe. Now, see that. Now, take over the mind. We cannot believe that we will exist forever. Who says this? Come on, mind. Mind, are you taking me to a wrong notion? Mind says, no, this is what is happening. You see that your forefathers died. You see that your neighbors died. The mind jumps in and creates an ignorance. The mind says, take it for granted. that you will not exist forever. But what I understood, I am existence. I'm not the wave, I'm the water. The water is unchanging. Example. See that. Again, take the two phrases. So you should sit and just contemplate even and reflect on this after doing the meditation. I cannot believe that I cannot exist forever. Now, I cannot believe that I do not exist here and now. I'm listening, I'm understanding, I'm getting the knowledge. Come on, you cannot say that. But can you believe my mind that you will exist forever? Doubt. I have to remove that doubt. What is that doubt? When the knowledge sleeps. So I hold on to that I am in the intellect, and then I say, come on, come on. So what will happen? Because I see I am the body, that is why the mind says you will not exist forever. Even after teacher teaching that we are not the body, the mind does not accept it. Intellectually, it accepts as an information. So that is why we need contemplation and reflection. That is the true study of, uh, that is the true study of Eastern wisdom. Let us go slowly. We do not accept that we do not exist now. How that conclusion and the knowledge has come into my mind? Because of consciousness, because of the body, because of the senses, because of the mind. So let us examine each one of it. Not because of the real self free from the body, mind, and consciousness. That is why we are doing this sadhana. Mind says because of the body, because I am able to interact, because I am able to speak, because I am able to know. All are the properties, all are the factors coming from the mind. So let us examine one after the other. So now see, can I live and work in that state of the highest consciousness all the time? Answer is yes. So that is what the Eastern wisdom is talking about. That is why we need a purified state of the mind. We need a focused state of the mind so that our contemplation and reflection succeeds in knowing who am I. So we have all the information that I am the Satchidanand. But what happens? The mind comes in between with its habitual, instinctive, impulsive ideas, thoughts, wrong notions, identification. So the concept of viveka and the vairagya has been introduced by our masters, uh, to the seekers. Now go slowly. I am three states, and I am. Or you may take that I am the sense organ. I see you through the sense organ, even though indirectly the mind is there processing the information. So, senses, are these senses present in the dream? No. In the sleep? No. So, when they are not present in the sense, in the dream and the sleep, senses are different from me. Body was different in the dream. Body is different in the waking state. Huh? So means what? Means what? I'm none of these sense organs. So when I conclude, when our masters conclude that we are none of these sense organs, when I'm not the car, when I'm not my house, when I'm not my clothes, how do I feel? What is the level of awareness with me? When I say I'm not the car, I have parked the car. Who cares? Can I park all the sense organs at this moment and see what lies behind? So it means the information coming from the world outside through the sense organs, I'm aware of it, and I 100% know that these information coming from the sense organs cannot be me, and I need not to crave for it. A sense of vairagya comes instantly, that dispassion enters into our mind. Oh, this is what it is. I see the light, not me. I see you, not me. I see the computer, not me. I see the screen. I feel it. I touch it. Oh, so I can never know who am I through the sense organs. No doubt, sense organs are the instrument of knowledge. I have been repeating it again and again, many a times, almost couple of months before. Senses are the instruments of knowledge to know the world outside, including the mind. But Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge to know myself. I have repeated couple of times, you remember that. So now, once we are clear, we live into that awareness that I am not the sense organs, then where we have to go. So then the master gives us another clue. I am a waker, means as long as I live in a waking state, I claim I exist, I am. But in deep sleep, the same mind does not claim that I exist, and still I exist. Oh, the mind is playing with me. I have to play with the mind. So the sadhana means that I have to work on the mind. The mind should not work on me. When the mind is not there in deep sleep, means mind is not borrowed the consciousness in itself to know that whether I'm in a sleeping state or a dreaming state. Look at the dreaming state also. So there is a little awareness that this body is lying on the bed. In dream, we 100% know. There is a second body that is jumping, running, being scared. So there is a different body, there is a different mind in the dream state, and this body and the mind of the waking state is not there. Then who am I? Then who am I? Then who am I? Who am I? So that is what the greatest teaching of the Ashtavakra begins. Ashtavakra and was a great master, and Janaka was a king. So he had a very bad, frightening dream. He was dreaming in his kingdom, on a big mansion, on a beautiful bed, and he was dreaming that the another king invaded his kingdom. He lost everything, and then he was ousted from his country. He became a beggar, and beggar was begging for food. So the food was offered by a person, but before he could eat, an eagle snatched the food and flied. At that moment, he woke up from the dream, and he saw that he is still living, sleeping. He was lying on the bed in the kingdom. Now, see that when a seeker, when you are a seeker, you ask a different question. When you are not a seeker, then you call astrologer. Oh, what about this dream? How dream is going to affect me? Is it truth or not? But a seeker knows whatever comes into the dream, I need not to have to pay attention. Throw it out. But this master asked that which one is true. The moment I came into a waking state and I see, oh, I see everything is intact. Everything is intact. So, but he said, I also experienced that I am a beggar. So he asked the master, which one is true? So the mind is still engaged with the wrong notion that which one is true. Am I a waker or am I a dreamer? I have experienced both. And now I experience that in a waking state, I'm still the king and everything is normal. But what I experienced in the dream, that is also true. Because I experienced it. So he went to the master, tell me which one is true. Now see why we study the Eastern wisdom. The master said, none of them is true. Not the waker is true, not the dreamer is true. You are true. That you is present, that you is present in the dream state, in the sleep state, in the waking state. And that you is different from dreaming, different from sleeping, different from waking. So that is why the more and more the thought process goes into the mind and the head, it helps us to remove the wrong notion. The more and more we reflect on this. Today I had a pain. Pain is also always experienced in a waking state. Pain is also experienced in the dream state, and that experience is different from what I experience in the waking state. But I don't experience in the deep sleep state. So all my experiences taking place in the mind, and the mind is coloring. Mind colors these experiences. Coloring means first it experiences, then it adds a little I. It knows this is my body, but I am continuously experiencing pleasure or a pain. The mind add one spices into it. See, you feel the pain, you cannot go to work now, so your knee is hurting. Okay, knee is hurting, and gradually what happens? The mind takes over us. I have a problem. I cannot go to office. We don't say that body has a pain. You see, that is why, because the mind identifies with the body, the sense organs, and the thought process, we have to keep this mind pure. Every master has been saying, purify the mind, move the mind within. That is the importance of vairagya and the dispassion. Look at it, vairagya and dispassion. So we don't we don't care about this, because the foundation has to be made. Why the foundation has to be made? When I say I am, now check where the vairagya and viveka fits here. We don't see it. Why we don't see it? Because the mind is breaking this. Mind does not allow us to see it. And when mind does not allow to see it, one, that is okay. But this crazy mind starts thinking and dreaming. Oh, you are saying vairagya means renunciation. Now the mind creates a fear. Renunciation, you want me to say that you go to Himalayas? You are saying that I should leave everything? You want to say that I have earned $1 million, should I give to you and then I go to the Himalayas? You see, that is the way the mind works. And the people who are not seeker will not be able to understand this. The mind starts playing with it. Why? Because the mind finds uh, whatever I'm experiencing in terms of the pleasure or a pain or a reflection, even the pleasure and pain have been repeated 1,000 times, 1 million times in my life. But I want to live with it. So, what the mind says, that is the biggest problem. Mind says, I don't want to change anything. I want to live with the same pleasure and pain. Can you give me meditation? How can we give you meditation? You want to stick with the pleasure and a pain like a glue. You claim that I want to live with the same pleasure and a pain and I want a permanent happiness. How it is possible? So that is why first Viveka, then now we say we need a Vairagya. Now pick up another very beautiful understanding, very subtle, that the mind is already attached, say for anything. The mind is already seeking pleasure. Mind is already seeking pleasure. So why you say that, that mind must get out of that? Because the mind is outside because of the attachment and the identification. So that is why we need a vairagya, we need a dispassion. But now that dispassion must take birth in the same mind where the attachment has taken the birth. That is the only thing we have to do it. We have not to leave anything. We have not to go to the Himalayas. We have not to renounce anything physically. We have to renounce that idea, that notion, or in the mind which is seeking pleasure outside, that needs to be dropped. Or if I say, replaced by the right notion. That is what is Vairagya. That is what is Vairagya. So you are say, you are just looking at me. So the sense organ is looking at me through the mind. Now step back from the sense organ, step back from the mind. So there is already an awareness, which we say consciousness or knowledge. That knowledge, that consciousness is the knower, is the seer. What Astavakra said, neither this is true nor this is, you are true. So that you is not your mind, that you is behind the mind. It can happen. We can have an instant awareness. When J. Krishnamurti talks of choiceless awareness, choiceless awareness lies in the consciousness, not in the mind. The mind has to divide and perceive. How we can have a choiceless awareness when I see there are two people? One is a speaker and one is the listener. That is created by the mind, but behind that there is a pure consciousness. So to reach to that, that is why we discovered, our masters discovered meditation practices. So we leave waker. I am not the waker. We leave the sleeper. I am not the sleeper. We leave the dreamer. I am not the dreamer. But one thing is clear, I exist, I am. Then who is this I am? That is where the discovery begins. So that is why we say we have to reject what I am not. So now there is another way to this examine the mind and uh, refine the mind, or I would say, allow the intellect to work on the mind. In Gita, we say that mind is the no, you have a horse. So mind the is a leash that controls the horse. But the charioteer is the intellect. We say that charioteer is the intellect. But if the intellect does not keep this leash on the horse under control, the horse will become wild, and these horses are the sense organs. Now, once why that example has been given, it has been given in Upanishad also. So now why? Now see that why that example is given. I'm unhappy. I'm Can I be unhappy 24 hours? Answer is no. I am happy in contact with some object. Can I be happy for 24 hours in contact with that object? The answer is no. Intellect, mind, sense organs. Now, see, understand that. Pick up that. That is overshadowed by the mind, and the mind says that I will continue to sleep for 24 hours, and which is not possible. Can I live in that pleasure for 24 hours? Not possible. Not possible. So now two things are there. Examine closely. That I am seeking permanent happiness in thought, in speech, in action. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to feel miserable. So, from where that urge to live in permanent happiness has come? Master is asking a right question, from where that urge. I know I do not live in pleasure 24 hours in contact with one thing, but something within me is seeking that permanent happiness. That is why my mind is running outside from one object to the other, from one thing to the other. What should I do? It is not that I'm speaking to you. Your mind must have that burning question in you. No doubt I'm seeking permanent happiness, but we have been repeating it again and again and again and again, and still I cannot live into that 24 by 7 permanent happiness. It means two things: whether that happiness is not present in the world of name in the form, one option. Second option, that seeking is a craziness of the mind, seeking permanent happiness. Or third, is there a way? There comes the study of Eastern wisdom. The mind will conclude only what it knows based on its own information in the memory. No, no, I have seen, nobody can live into this state of permanent happiness. Mind has concluded. So then someone says you that there is a permanent happiness in you. The mind rejects it. Then you don't follow the path. You reject the entire meditation journey. You reject the Eastern wisdom. But if someone says there is a permanent happiness, the mind is open, then it starts acquiring the knowledge. That then the master says acquiring the knowledge means that you have to become a seeker. So gradually, the moment you become a seeker, at least 10 to 20% of the mental craziness goes away. You start reflecting on it, you start seeing on it. Yes. So then the mind becomes a seeker. No, I want to know more and more. I want to practice more and more. And as you continue the journey, the one we discover this. And that is what is the study of the Eastern wisdom in these 40 steps. Two things. Two things are there that should be clear. When we talk of purely yoga, we have six organs of Indian philosophy, which is known as darshan. So the word darshan is known as direct perception, face to face, not through the sense organ, not through the mind. The self perceives the self, the way the sun lights itself and also lights the entire world. That is what is known as a direct perception. The consciousness lights itself with the knowledge, but it also gives light to the mind, to the sense organs, to the body. That's why I feel the body is alive. Otherwise, this body is a matter. These sense organs are a matter. So, what it says, that is why we have to study this Eastern wisdom. So, two parts. When we say yoga philosophy, it means meditation has to be practiced. Practice. And there are thousands of practices. But when we talk of Uttar Mimamsa, or that is known as the path of knowledge in the Jnana Yoga, or especially it is also known as Sankhya Yoga. So when we say Sankhya Yoga, it is why to practice. Just see that you are none of them. So both has to go together. In our journey, the both has to go together. Practice. So when you are practicing, you are raising your awareness, raising your awareness. Now your practice has reached to a saturation point. The knowledge of the reality descends into you. Once that knowledge descends into you, now you need not to practice because now the knowledge is already there. So that two-part process has been explained and created thousands of practices. The main thing is this, but then it has given a lot of. That is why I have given you a lot of meditation practices in a different way. So, what happens when I say practice, and practice? It is like upaya. Upaya means what? Upaya is another word for sadhana, for practice, for meditation. Beautiful, my master used to say that you should practice like you should drive a car. You have reached home, you leave the car. So, all these practices should be done continuously, regularly, with clarity and understanding, and let the time come when you know you have reached home. Where is the use of practicing meditation? No need. You are already there. You are already there. So then this yoga has been, I would say, yoga has been, mm, or you can say different schools of yoga. So the different schools of yoga has been created uh, in by these masters with a specific purpose. Take an example: mantra yoga. Mantra, tra destroying, man through mantra, followed by contemplation and reflection on that mantra, you destroy the mind. Means you purify the mind. So mantra yoga should be used to purify. Karma yoga, I can avoid sins and the virtues I should leave the ego sense and the desire for the fruits of an action. That becomes the karma yoga. I'm going to my honey. Mind says, praise her or him. Why to praise him or her? Because mind is running for pleasure. You see that? It's a very common example. It happens when I have that sense of seeking the pleasure in the mind that is running in the subconscious behind the mind, and then I have to praise. When I criticize, forget about getting the pleasure. You see? So that mind must be free from the desire for fruits of an action. So two part that's how the karma yoga has been understood and discovered, and advised and guided by our masters. Then you see that we have Raja Yoga. So when we say Raj Yoga, there are two parts. One group of masters believe it has to more to do with Kundalini Yoga, and the other people believe that it has more to do with the contemplation and reflection, understanding the principles with a clarity, so that our mind should become clear. And then the other masters in couple of Upanishads, yoga is also used as a dhyana yoga, meditation yoga. So there the mind must go within, live within, and awaken within. So all these, then we have Raja Yoga, we have Jnana Yoga. Then yes, now you cannot understand, your mind and intellect has not been developed, or I would say developed in a different sense. So it is not able to contemplate and reflect. It does not want to contemplate and reflect. Both are together. So then what master says? Master says, no worries. Do you dream? Yes, I dream. Now dream consciously. Krishna is there. Krishna, do you know the image of a Krishna? Yes. So see that image of the Krishna. Okay, I have seen it. That comes to your heart. It is living into your heart. Do you know that Krishna is all pervading? Yes, Krishna is all pervading. That is what I read. So why not Krishna is feel the presence of a Krishna in all the fingers, in the right hand, in the left hand, in the head, in the whole body. Do you love Krishna? Yes, I love Krishna. Do you do you know that the Krishna plays a flute and that absorbs the mind? Yes, I know it. Now imagine the Krishna is singing and you have a flute. So, like this, there are hundreds of practices, bhakti yoga. So, how it happens? In bhakti yoga, you redirect your love from outside to the love for the Krishna, love for the Shiva, love for the goddess Kali. That's why we have 330 million gods and goddesses. You choose anyone. And I think we have done one practice, Rupa Dhyan. I have added some practices of Rupa before that. And now I'm giving you a clarity, a deeper insight. So the moment I see that how your mind is changing, I add those steps into that. I did not talk about the love for the Krishna. We did the practice with the Shiva. So that is the beauty of this Eastern wisdom. So we should have a clarity. We should have an insight that every step in these 40 steps that we are going to do it, and that's what we are doing, has that has that capacity. I remember one more thing, and then I will have your questions. I want to do meditation. Very good. I close my eyes. I have seen lot of people, when I say close your eyes, please, they close their eyes, they open it. They again look at me. Close their eyes, they open it again. And when I forcibly tell them, then they say, then their body starts talking to me. The body is moving here and there, fidgeting, scratching. Now understand. Master is saying, is your mind capable of doing meditation? So you must acquire certain powers of the mind that will hold your body steady. Two things: power of the mind to keep the body steady. How come it will come? When you remove the wrong notion. See that? How they are easily connected. So, I must have a tremendous power of the mind to hold on the body, the breath, the mind, and the intellect. Practice of asana means to keep the body steady, isn't it? We have already understood. It is not nothing to do with the physical exercise system, building the muscles, or standing on your head. Huh? The steadiness. Now see that. Steadiness in the body helps the mind to focus on the object of meditation. Ashtanga Yoga. Asana, third. Dharana, sixth. So asana is related to dharana. Om Namah Shiva. You're saying in your mind, but asana is related to dharana. Meditation is a movement. Means asato ma sat gamaya. Moving from asat to sat. So pranayama is also a movement. Pranayama is related to the seventh of the eightfold path. After dharana comes meditation. So pranayama, meditation. Pranayama, meditation. Asana, dharana, sixth organ. Pranayama. We have 8 Ashtanga Yoga. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. So leave Yama, Niyama, that is the external purification of the mind, understanding. Then comes the asana. So asana is related to steadiness of the body. So this steadiness in the body causes the mind to remain steady on an object of meditation. Pranayama is a movement. So that movement is related to meditation, movement from ignorance to wisdom. Pratyahara. Pratyahara means withdraw all the sense organs from their respective objects. It is related to samadhi, emptiness, nothingness. So that is how this Ashtanga Yoga has been developed. It is not that no, I should practice asana for 10 years and then I should practice pranayama for another 10 years and then I practice dharana for another 10 years. And in that process, I leave the body and I still live in ignorance. So, why I talked about it, so that your mind becomes very clear the moment you follow any step,